Hey guys, today I am reacting to India's 2.7 billion capital project explained. This this should be interesting. India is building a lot of things. There's a lot of infrastructure projects going on in India. Um and of course I do prefer the public transportation projects and improving infrastructure that's good for the common people and not focusing on cars and highways because those are bad ideas. But yeah, so this should be interesting. I'm actually not exactly sure what this 2.7 billion capital project is. So let's get into the video. Should be interesting. And please like and subscribe to the channel. Yeah, so like this video and subscribe. That would help out very much.
This is the plan for India's new government district, which is currently under construction. The Indian
So a new government district.
government is planning for a massive redevelopment project in the country's capital, New Delhi. However, the new buildings that will serve as the seat of government will not be built in a new location. Rather, the current administrative center, which includes the Indian Parliament as well as the official seat of the Indian President, will be completely renovated, with total costs estimated at around 2.7 billion US dollars. And this project symbolizes a renewal process that has been in the making for a long time. The central vista was designed when India was part of the British Empire. In 1911, the British imperial government decided to move the capital of the then British Indian Empire from Calcutta to Delhi. The reason for this were strong nationalist protests in Calcutta, creating an uncomfortable situation for the colonial government. The construction of a new administrative area was planned at a location that had often served as the political center in the region in the past. This map of Lutyens shows their plan. Above, in black color, is Old Delhi, and in red, the planned new Imperial Delhi. The architects created a ceremonial axis along which parks and government buildings are located, the King's Way, or today Rajpath. Lutyens took inspiration from some of the most famous avenues around the world, such as Champs-Élysées in Paris, which at one end leads to the Arc de Triomphe. In turn, the Kingsway designed by Lutyens leads towards the All India War Memorial, known today as India Gate. Another great inspiration was the National Mall in the US capital, Washington, D.C. Both cities are characterized by a central axis, which is about 3.5 kilometers long. Both centers are arranged similarly in terms of their geometry, with shorter cross-axes and diagonal streets which lead towards the main way. On one end of the Washington Mall is the Capitol, the seat of Congress. Vice versa, on one end of New Delhi's central axis you find Viceroy's House, the official seat of the representative of the monarch of the United Kingdom. Even if architecturally clear similarities can be recognized, it is nevertheless important to note that the context in which these two administrative centers were created is fundamentally different. After all, Washington, D.C. came into being as a result of American independence. A new capital city was designed from the ground up. The administrative center of India, in turn, emerged in Delhi, which already was one of the oldest cities in the world. By setting up their seat of government here, the British linked their monarchy with the deep history of the subcontinent. While Washington was the result of liberation, New Delhi was commissioned by a colonial power. After India gained independence, the administrative district in Delhi became the center of a new independent nation. And it was further developed as many of the buildings had to change their function. Viceroy's House became Rashtrapati Bhavan, the official residence of the President of India. The parliament, which originally housed the Imperial Legislative Council, is now used to house both chambers of India's democratically elected parliament. Meanwhile, the population of the city increased, and there was immense development pressure on this area. New office buildings were constructed, but there was a lack of vision of how this area should be developed. Today, the central Vista is certainly a landmark in the country. The parks have become a popular social gathering spot, and every year on January 26th, the Republic Day Parade takes place. However, since many of the buildings are now being used for a different purpose than originally intended, this administrative center actually only houses part of the government buildings. The Secretariat buildings are supposed to house the various ministries of the Indian government. However, their size is no longer sufficient, which is why a large part of the ministries, as well as the Prime Minister's residence, are located outside of Central Vista. Therefore, the Indian government has decided to redevelop the entire area. Under the direction of Indian architect Bimal Patel, the architecture firm HCP designed what is supposed to be the future of Central Vista. The Parliament building is clearly too small for today's requirements of India's democracy, and it is in a structurally desolate state. Therefore, a completely new building will be created, right next to the old Parliament. While the old Parliament is circular, this new Parliament is in triangular shape. Nevertheless, it references many of the ideas present in the current Parliament's design. Today's Parliament building consists of 3 semicircles that face each other. They house the 2 chambers of Parliament as well as a library. In the middle, there is a common hall from which you can navigate to the different rooms. And in between these halls, there are various courtyards. The whole thing is surrounded by a circle that provides space for offices. In a very similar way, the new Parliament will also have office space facing outside. Inside, however, the space is used significantly more effectively by reducing the courtyard area. The 2 chambers of Parliament can therefore be built much larger in order to meet today's requirements.
Almost looks like a face.
As already mentioned, the Secretariat buildings are not sufficient for all the different ministries, and many of the buildings that currently stretch along the Rajpath and house additional offices are in poor structural condition. These buildings will therefore be demolished to make way for a massive new central secretariat. This should unite all ministries of the Indian government in one place. These large buildings will each have a courtyard in the middle, which will serve as a meeting and relaxation space. In order to make commuting to work easier, the architects have planned underground electric people movers that stop at every office
That's awesome. Good.
building. Furthermore, a central
That seems a lot more efficient than, for example, like cars or something like that.
conference center is being built, in which larger events can be held. It will have various auditoriums, as well as a number of conference and seminar rooms. The National Archive building is also located along Rajpath. This currently comprises an old building by Lutens from the imperial period, as well as a newer building that was added later. As part of the current redevelopment, the old building is to be renovated, but otherwise retains its function, while the newer building will be demolished and replaced. Also currently located along Rajpath is the Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts, a major government-funded cultural institution in the country. The center will have to move, as the current buildings will be demolished to make way for the new Central Secretariat. A new building for the institute is to be built on the India Gate Circle. Another building that needs to make way for the new Central Secretariat is the National Museum. But since all ministries are now united in this Central Secretariat, the current Secretariat building loses its function. The plan is therefore to relocate the National Museum to these two much larger buildings.
Be very careful though. Obviously there's going to be tons of priceless artifacts.
The new National Museum will then have 3 times as much space as it currently does. And architect Patel, who oversees the redevelopment, also considers this a symbolic change that reflects the power of the people in a democratic nation. The British built the old Secretariat on an elevation, with the government buildings located on Raisina Hill. But with the new plan to convert these buildings into a museum for the public and to relocate the Central Secretariat along Rajpath, the arrangement reflects the rule of the people in an independent India.
Presently, if you are lucky and if the Prime Minister is not in office, then you can walk up and gape at those buildings and see these big architectural instruments of intimidation and wonder what goes on inside. Now they will become museums that you can walk up to.
Patel's plan also moves the residency of the Vice President and the Prime Minister to a new location. Currently, the Prime Minister's residence is outside of central Vista. This new arrangement will not only bring these office holders closer together, but also reflect the political hierarchy of India. Centrally located is the seat of the President, the highest ranking office in the nation. To the President's sides, there will be the seat of the Vice President on one hand and the seat of the Prime Minister on the other hand, who, although having the most political power, comes in third in the nation's ceremonial hierarchy. Adjacent to this residence is the new office of the Prime Minister, which is then located directly opposite the old and new Parliament. Finally, the Rajpath, the central main axis and its parks, will be fundamentally overhauled. New vegetation will be planted, facilities will be completely renewed, and pedestrian underpasses will improve the experience for visitors. The Central Vista redevelopment project is controversial in India, and there is criticism from many different sides.
Now, that is to say that I think, as non-residents of Delhi, I really don't think you get the space.
You're taking away money from the middle class. You're not giving money to the poor people, and you're spreading it, spending it on your Central Vista.
Most of your presentation talked about making incremental improvements to status quos, that there was no larger ambition.
Questions regarding
Good point.
the project's ambitions are commonly discussed in India. It is a challenging question, especially since the architects were faced with the difficult task of renovating an already existing landmark. This area is deeply connected to Indian history, as well as the British Raj. For some critics, this project represents an attempt to erase colonial history from this place, and therefore from collective memory. For others, the design is too restrained and lacks vision. Much of the criticism also relates to the point in time when this prestigious project is being implemented. As the government is spending large sums of money on this project at a time where the nation is facing the life-threatening challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, good point.
The timing of this project also seems inappropriate to some in regards to the current state of Indian democracy. Just recently, the US-based organization Freedom House, which monitors the state of democratic institutions worldwide, has, in a controversial move, downgraded India from a free democracy to a partly free democracy. Nevertheless, the project is currently under construction, even if the discussions will certainly continue for a long time. Architecture can do many things. It can look ahead to the future or into the past, or, as in this project, try to build a bridge between the two. In addition, architecture can be symbolic and embody ideas such as openness, transparency, democracy, and equality. But what architecture cannot do is put these principles into practice and protect them. This is a task that will remain with politics and civil society. What helps is to be well informed, even if it can be difficult to find the time to read up-to-date news. That's why every morning I look at the
Okay, that was interesting though. Definitely enlightening on the subject. I was a bit uninformed on the topic before, so I appreciate it. And please like this video and subscribe. Let's check out some of the comments. None of the Indian news channels explain this project in such details. Kudos to Neo. Wendover Productions, Airplanes, Real Life Flow, Toyota Corolla, Polymath, China. Neo, perfect graphics and explanations of current events. This is the most comprehensive analysis of the Central Vista project that I've seen. The government should ditch whatever material they're using currently and use this video to explain the project. Another benefit is that currently all ministries of New Delhi are spread around the New Delhi. Because of this, regularly traffic is stopped for accommodation of officials between ministries. That's a huge disturbance. All ministries at the same place will fix this problem. True, good point. Mind-blowing graphical representation. Kudos to the team. Great. Now if there's any money remaining, they should use that to educate MPs to not behave like monkeys in Parliament. Many people congratulating this guy for graphics. These were part of the presentation given by Patel. Excellent visual explanation of the plans. Seems like they've got some good ideas going there. Very balanced approach while describing a topic. You should arguments of both sides and describe topic in a very good way. Honestly, even being an Indian, I never knew about this. News is all about political bullshit. I hope whatever new building they build is representative of ancient or traditional Indian architecture. I am going to throw hands if they decide to build ugly glass and concrete buildings. Yeah, good point. Really should be. Traditional, like, Indian historicist buildings would be awesome. Even the old House of the Parliament is nuclear. Gandhi is onto something. I like how the old buildings will turn into museum. We will actually be able to see what's inside what was constructed years back, and loved how the old Parliament is not getting demolished. As Indians, we love sticking to our old stuff. This video is amazing. Thanks. The production value of your videos is top notch. Amazingly well done. I learned a lot about this project, even though this video a lot about this project through this video. More than from media, which just shows people protesting the government so that the money can be spent on COVID. Yeah. Finally, someone doing true analysis rather than just mocking India. Another great job. This channel has my support. The intro never gets old too. It's a good intro. The graphics are lit. The Parliament building's evolution is like tracing Iron Man's core. Good point, yeah. Okay, man, this was a great video, though. I really enjoyed it. If you enjoyed my reaction, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. And comment down below your thoughts, honestly. It should be interesting to hear. Bye.